session, regular monthly meeting to order. I apologize for being a few minutes late, we ran over executive session. All right, so tonight, if you'll all join me in a moment of silence. Okay, if you'll join me for the pledge to our flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have our special recognition.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I think Ms. Henderson Baker, you made a request at our last meeting that we do some digital recognition for our students and our employees. And so well, it was a great idea, and here we are. First thing I'd like to say is that hopefully in the coming year, we'll be able to bring everyone back into the building and have our regular recognition program. But until then, we're going to try to bring everybody up to date on all the wonderful things that have been happening in our school system in spite of the pandemic. Thank you, sorry. In spite of the pandemic. So we're going to use the time at the beginning of the meetings to sort of run through the great things that are happening in our school system with our students and staff. So first, both the Eastside High School and Newton College and Career Academy FFA programs were named 3-star chapters by the National FFA organization. This is the highest ranking an FFA chapter can receive in the STAR program. The two FFA programs were recognized at the 2020 National FFA Convention and Expo. Congratulations to both Eastside and NCCA for this accomplishment. Porterdale Elementary School was named a 2020 National School of Distinction by the National Beta Program. This award is an honor for Beta Clubs striving toward academic achievement, exemplary character, demonstrated leadership, and service to others. With an ongoing quest to instill these qualities in more students, the National Beta School of Distinction Award is designed to award those schools that show an increase in membership for the current school year. Congratulations to Porterdale Elementary School. Next, Abigail Sugg, a senior at Eastside High School and the Newton College and Career Academy STEM Institute, was awarded the Bessie Willingham Tift Scholarship from Mercer University, a full ride scholarship that includes not only tuition, but also room and board. That equates to approximately $250,000 over the course of 4 years. Abigail was the sole winner of the scholarship out of 198 applicants for this prestigious award. Congratulations, Abigail. 6 Newton County School System high school students were named semifinalists for the 2021 Governor's Honors Program, also known as GHP. These students included Dakia Knights from Newton High and NCCA STEM, Noah Geiger, also from Newton High School and the NCCA STEM, Bree Wharton, Eastside High School and Newton College and Career Academy, Elizabeth Johnson, Eastside High School, Matthew Walker, Eastside High School, Ravash Deepnaran from both Eastside and NCCA STEM. These students successfully passed the school and district level interviews and had their applications approved by the Governor's Office of Student Achievement to be named as semifinalists in the program. Next, 11 Newton County School System middle school students brought home awards from the 2021 Regional Science Fair. 2 students from Newton County Theme School, Alexander Arrett and Catherine Wilbur, pictured with school principal Dr. Shanti Everett, won first place awards and advanced to the state science fair. Other winners at the regional science fair included Alex Johnson, Ian White, Caroline Mueller, Bryson Strickland from Indian Creek Middle School, Nathaniel Arrett, Cooper Stokes, Ethan Patton from Newton County Theme School, and Nevaeh Craven, Kiana Felix from Liberty Middle School. Congratulations to these outstanding scientists. Several Newton County school systems earned awards at Griffin RISA's Regional Literacy Days competition. Pictured is Live Oak Elementary student, 3rd grader, Xander Wheeler, who placed first in the poetry recitation contest. Other winners in the poetry recitation competition included Naya Hatchett from Veterans Memorial Middle School, who won second place, Marin Pointer of Newton County Theme School, who brought home the second place award, and Cousins Middle School student Aubrey Norton, who earned third place honors. Ariel Shy, a fifth grader at Middle Ridge Elementary, took home the second place award in Ready Writing, and Grace Fowler, a third grader at Newton County Theme School, earned third place honors with her writing skills. Finally, Liberty Middle School's drama team won third place honors with their drama performance at the competition. Team members included Kanye Kasanu, Kaylee Ransom, Matthew Rush, Landon Boston, Jelani Bird. Congratulations to these award-winning students. The Newton College and Career Academy STEM Institute and Al Kobe High School senior Esther Adewame earned a full-ride STAMP scholarship to attend Mercer University. The STAMP scholarship will pay both full tuition and fees plus room and board, and also provide Esther with a free Apple iPad. In addition, the STAMP Scholar benefit includes up to a $16,000 enrichment stipend over 4 years to support study abroad, undergraduate research, unpaid internships, and conference fees and travel. Congratulations to Esther. And last but not least, Al Kobe High School senior Taylor Stevens and Newton High School sophomore Jabril Anderson both received statewide honors when they were selected for the 2021 Georgia All-State Band. Taylor plays the euphonium and has also served as a drum major at Al Kobe. Jabril plays the tuba for the Newton Sound Factory. Taylor made additional history as the first Al Kobe High School student selected for All-State Band. Congratulations to Taylor and Jabril. Madam Chair, this concludes tonight's recognition. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I'm so proud of all these students. Wish they could be here in person, but this is better than nothing, so thank you.
That's a good idea.
All right, moving on to public participation, and I believe we have just one tonight, Ms. Deborah Johnson. Would you read this? Hi, Ms. Johnson. Thank you for being here. I'm going to let Ms. Henderson Baker read our rules and regulations for our public participation.
Public participation is the time that the board has set aside to encourage you as members of our community to voice your opinion on any matter, either included in or excluded from the printed agenda. A maximum time of 5 minutes will be allotted to a single individual or a single topic based on the number of requests. Complaints against any employee of the school system will not be heard unless the complaint has been submitted in writing to the superintendent at least 7 days prior to the board meeting. If unresolved, any personal complaints about school personnel must be put in writing for the board to review in executive session. Personal attacks against any member of the board will not be tolerated. Once the time for public participation has passed, discussion of topics will be restricted to board members only. Thank you in advance for complying with this request. Madam Chair, Deborah Johnson's paper is coming back to you.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Johnson. Thank you again for being here. The floor is now yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. So I came before, and I'm continuing my story. Now it's personal. Started this school system here, and that twice exceptional is not known in the school system. Went on to have my son fail miserably and being told that I should allow him to fail because, Ms. Johnson, you've done all you could, let him fail. Oh, as a matter of fact, don't worry about him failing because at the end of the school year, students at this school system end up passing. Now, my experience now going through my child failing for a whole school year, he's not passing. Comes home today and tells me, oh, I'm not going to have to do EOC. Now, I'm going to research this EOC, but he has already not been able to do PSAT. Now, anything that measures outside of the school system, he's not afforded it. So I can see the meaningful education that he's getting because he's failing miserably, but on paper, he's passing. So, again, I speak to your mission and your vision for this school, well-rounded students, excellent education, pushing kids through the system is not preparing them for the future. It's not well-rounded, and it's not excellent education. And that is my experience throughout this year. Classroom management is lacking. Accountability, integrity is lacking. And I need that addressed for all students in the school system. I mean, I hear what is being said today, and I'm not impressed, because every Student Success Act is for every student. And I don't find that the truth in the school system, just from my personal experience and the hearings that I'm hearing. So I'm asking the board again to please be intentional, meaningful, and all that good stuff to help the children to be really prepared for their future. They're failing miserably, and they will fail as adults miserably because they're not being prepared adequately.
All right, I heard you mention that he had not been able to take the PSAT.
He's a 9th grader, but Mom has a standard that I thought lined up with the school system, and I was happy because of his experience that he would have gotten the opportunity to do it. Last minute, as I mentioned the last meeting, it was withdrawn, that option, and now he's being told he's not going to do
So he's a 9th grader.
He's a 9th grader, but he's an underachiever now for who he's been and what the school system has done to my child, and I'm seeing it for me, and I'm imagining that it's for everyone. And I go on the governor's report, I go on the OCR data, and I'm seeing the discrepancy, the problem. I'm seeing it there. So what I'm experiencing, I'm knowing and I'm understanding that it's not, unique to my child and myself, and I need it addressed. I don't want this prettiness and Daniel is failing. I mean, my child is failing. 2 weeks later, he's passing. I know I'm hearing he has 7 credits instead of 4, and he's failing miserably. I can tell. I know my child, and I also know his ability. So the games and all that stuff needs to stop. We need to get together, parent, community, everybody, and be meaningful and intentional so we can get some really boss children into society. That is my desire, my request of the board, that you really put your foot in the dirt and get an understanding of what's going on, because it's not serving the community well. That's my experience. That's my observation.
I appreciate you being here. We will get in touch with you tomorrow, if not, I would say tonight, but no, tomorrow, I'm sorry, and get more details and more specifics. I'd like for the staff to look directly into it.
'Cause I never heard back from the last one, so hopefully.
All right, we will follow up. I'll make sure it's followed up with tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We need approval of the agenda, which is very long tonight, so.
So moved.
It sounded like you didn't want us to approve it.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I was trying to
No,
write
that's
down
fine.
this conduct information.
Second.
So we have a first by motion made by Ms. Henderson Baker and a second by Mr. Trey Bailey. All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair,
Yes.
point of personal privilege. We got some feedback.
We do, that's what
And
I
I'm
was.
afraid it may be feedback on the computer for people who watching. So I don't know if Napoleon or Dr. Kyle, if we need to move it back, or, I'm just afraid the feedback may be on the computer for people who's watching.
Feedback, what's the feedback?
There's a lot of feedback in our microphones.
Yeah.
Unless it's one specific mic.
Is it maybe yours?
I felt like I had a little bit on mine too.
You do have, okay, so
think
now
so.
that you said something, it's like a ring with yours. Mine is clear now, I think. No, it's not.
Testing.
I don't know what problem.
I just didn't know if we need to move it
Make sure the
around.
phones are away from your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved it to the other side.
You need
Just
to
go
say-
ahead, we just gotta kind of hear.
Okay, so go ahead
Yeah.
and continue. Okay, I guess they'll troubleshoot as we move on. All right, so, we need an approval of our minutes. Do we have a motion to approve our minutes?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, and it's seconded by Mr. Anderson Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. moving on to our superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. In the financial report, the special purpose local option for education sales tax, SPLOST, eSPLOST 5 distribution for February was $1,349,864, which is a decrease of $91,562 from the previous month. The average for the first 14 months of eSPLOST 5 collections is $1,386,625. The title ad valorem tax collection for February was $474,801, and expenditures are within budget with 70.78% of funds expended and 75% of the year complete. The board financials for March are there for your review, and that concludes the financial report.
All right. Is there any questions of our board members? If there are none, we'll move on to our strategic plan report.
Oh, I'm sorry. The superintendent's report for this evening. First of all, good evening to everyone. The second annual, under student achievement and success, the second annual Newton County School System High School Mathematics Competition was held virtually on March 6, 2021. 15 students from Eastside High, Newton College and Career Academy, and Newton High participated in individual and team rounds. Additionally, the second annual NCSS Middle School Mathematics Competition was held virtually on March 13, 2021. 44 students from all NCSS middle schools participated in individual and team rounds. Under high quality workforce, on March 6, 2021, all human resource team members hosted and participated in the NCSS Virtual Job Fair, which was a district-wide event open to individuals seeking a teaching position for the 2021-2022 school year. Under culture, climate, and communication, NCSS celebrated World Down Syndrome Day by wearing their funky socks to raise awareness. Students and staff across the district participated and posted pictures on social media using the hashtags World Down Syndrome Day 21 and our abilities outweigh our disabilities. And when I say funky socks, now I'm not talking about smelly socks, I meant elaborate colored socks. And finally, on the organizational and operational effectiveness, school nurses and other student services departmental personnel worked as a part of the Operations Division initiative to implement a vaccination drive for all school system employees. Hundreds of employees received their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine during March. And that, Madam Chair, members of the board, is the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Dr. Roundtree or Mr. Roundtree? On that? All right, we'll move on to enrollment report.
The enrollment report as of April 1st, 2021, the enrollment was 18,672 students, which is a decrease of 704 students over this time last year.
All right. Thank you very much. We will move on to our presentation. Dr. Thomas?
Good evening. Madam Chair, board members, and Madam Superintendent, thank you for this opportunity to share with you information related to the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Funds grant and what does this mean for Newton County, the impact for Newton County. So I think everyone has a copy of the presentation. Okay. So in this presentation, I'm going to briefly talk about the stakeholder input that we've received all throughout the year, the overview of the ESSER budget, as well as grant requirements, the grant purpose, processing for the process for using these funds, and what does it look like, what's the plan for Newton County school system. So, as you know, last year this time, the nation was facing this, facing the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. The school system had to shift gears quickly and have alternative learning environments as well as work environments. So as we continue to prepare for the start of this school year, we felt the need to get input from all of our stakeholders. So at the beginning of the year, you may remember we had stakeholder feedback sessions, the Zoom sessions, surveys. Throughout the course of the year, we've had formal and informal conversations where we've collected information as it relates to some of the feedback, some suggestions, some solutions to what we can do in the school system to make it a safe environment for not only the employees to come to work, but for the students to have a safe learning environment, as well as proceeding 2 months ago, Ms. Fury sent out a crowd loop challenge. And in that challenge, she referenced the fact that if all employees can look at the past 11 months since the start of the pandemic and share with us any type of solutions that they have for us as we move forward with educating our students and having a safe environment, all of those things collectively over the course of the year, we have looked at within the school system to determine what are the needs that we needed to address immediately and what are some of the needs that we need to address systemically long range. So now we get to the point where we have a funding source to implement some of the things that have been suggested through our stakeholder feedback. With the ESSER funds, one thing that we really try to do in the district is not only look at the feedback, but look at the feedback and see what can we do district-wide. So as I continue to talk through this presentation, the things that will be discussed will be district-wide initiatives that we have either put in place now or we will put in place moving forward. So here's a little background information as it relates to the elementary and secondary schools emergency relief fund. So just so that I won't continue to read that long title, I will refer to it as ESSER. And you probably have seen this reference in information that Ms. Fury sent out or from the State Department or even in the news. So as it relates to a little background information, first of all, Congress passed 3 bills. And these bills allowed us to have temporary and immediate and direct funds, economic support for the state and our local agencies through these ESSER funds. And so the funds really are used, the initial reason was to support those greatest needs, whether they were academic needs or non-academic needs. So as time moved on, we received additional funds. And these additional funds were provided to us with the intent to safely reopen schools and to address those significant gaps in learning to support measures that will continue to reduce the effect of COVID-19 for our students and our families. So one thing that I want to point out, which is the last bullet on this slide, the ESSER funds are provided to us as these one-time relief funds with the purpose of preventing, preparing for, or responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. So at the end of the grant period, the funds will expire. So in a few more slides, I will share with you all of the different ESSER funds that we have and the things that we have planned for to use these funds appropriately based on the grant requirements. So let's just talk a little bit about the grant requirements. There are certain things that we as a district, we have to adhere to in order to receive these funds. First of all, we must have an active plan on how we're going to expend these funds. Then we have to establish a budget that we send to Georgia Department of Education, which we call Godot, and these funds and expenditures are aligned to the ESSER rationale. So it's certain ways that the funds can be used. Following that, specific grant program guidelines must be adhered to. And so as I go along, I will point out those guidelines and those mandates so that, you're familiar with or aware of what we have to spend the funds on or what must go to a certain entity such as private schools. So with these guidelines, we have to meet those mandatory program requirements. We need to support schools that are dealing with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We also were able to sustain the continuity of services and then, of course, prepare for a safe return to in-person instruction by supporting the reopening and the continual operation of schools. So as we move on in this presentation, I will be talking about three different ESSER funding grants that Newton County will receive. The first two funding grants have a specific, well, all three have a specific purpose, but the first two have the same purpose, which is to prevent and prepare for and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, funds that we receive in ESSER 3, the specific purpose of this grant is to implement and provide activities to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. So specifically, here's one of those requirements that we must adhere to in order to receive the grant. When we get to seeing the specific items outlined in ESSER 3, there is a mandatory loss of learning program that we have to allocate at least 20% of the total grant amount to fund. And Mr. Roundtree will be leading the initiative for the comprehensive loss of learning program. We also have to outline the safe return to school program or plan, which is really already in place. And we introduced that plan, or Dr. Barr shared that plan last year as we started back school. And so he will be the person that will spearhead sharing information as it relates to the plan to return to in-person instruction and for the continuity of services. The last part of ESSER 3 is we have to provide for the supports of the well-being of students, teachers, faculty, and staff. And Ms. Sanders and myself, we will be sharing that responsibility to provide wellness type support and mental health supports for all four of those groups, the students, teachers, faculty, and the staff. So once we are approved from Godot for all three, well, we have been approved for the budgets, but in the process of spending the funds or utilizing the funds, there are certain things that we have to do, again, from the district standpoint, which is we have to participate in the ESSER informational webinars. And several of us in this room, we've already been participating in those webinars and will continue to participate in the webinars so that we can ensure that the funds are spent appropriately based on the grant, as well as any type of expenditures are aligned appropriately with the guidelines from Godot. Also, the district is responsible for, again, creating the budget and is based on the use for each specific grant. So there are certain ways that we have to use the money, and then in the next few charts, you'll see how this is going to come together. Once we develop a budget and send the budget for approval, which Ms. Fury actually is the person from the district that sends the budget for to Godot for them to review and to approve. When Godot approves each of those budgets, then they allow us to go ahead and use those funds appropriately based on the things that we have submitted in the budget to purchase. So again, with that plan, we submit individual items to Godot, they approve the budget, and then we can in turn start the process of making purchases and obtaining services. We then, of course, follow the Newton County's procurement process for purchasing, and then if any of these items or expenditures exceed the $25,000 threshold, we will bring those items to the board as we normally would with any other board item. So that's kind of the process for using these ESSER funds. So here's just a quick chart, a brief chart to highlight the three different funding sources that we have with ESSER. So ESSER 1, and I know most of us really kind of know this money as called CARES, but ESSER 1 is the CARES budget. the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES. ESSER 2 is the CRESSER Act, Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, and then ESSER 3 is the American Rescue Plan Act. And so when you look at ESSER 1 and ESSER 2, they have the same availability timeline. We can use these funds through September 30th of 2022. Now with ESSER 1, because we had some immediate needs, again, I'll be talking about that, I think it's in the next slide, of the things that we've done this year using those ESSER 1 funds. ESSER 2, we have a plan in place to use those funds, to expend those funds within a 2-year period of time. And then ESSER 3, the grant period is for a 3-year period of time. But then again, please keep in mind, these are one-time funds that we receive in the district. So here are our total amounts that we have received with each of these funding sources. So ESSER 1, Newton County received a little over $4.6 million. ESSER 2, we received a little over $19 million. And ESSER 3, almost $43 million, which is a total of $66,727,233. So now, I would like for us to take a look at each of the ESSER budgets separately to include how Newton County responds to or plan to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, some of the resources that we would need to implement the things that have been highlighted, and those associated costs. So as we look at ESSER 1, the purpose again of the ESSER 1 budget is to prevent, prepare for, and to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. And as you see, Newton County's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, as we began this school year, we offered a virtual and remote learning option for our students. And there were certain resources that we needed in order to do that. So we used these funds to purchase additional Chromebooks, iPads, Wi-Fi internet access, and PPE items. And the total cost was a little over $1.5 million. We also used the ESSER 1 funds to sustain the continuity of services that was due to the state's funding cut. So at the beginning of the year, we experienced almost $10 million state funding deficit. Almost $11 million. So these funds were used so we can continue services that were originally provided in the district. So we supported these school resource officers, and we continued with our textbook adoption, which cost about a little over $3 million. And then another requirement of using these funds is that private schools that were interested in receiving the ESSER funds could work with Newton County School System to receive a proportionate share of the funds that we receive, which equated to a little over $54,000. So with those three expenditures, it totaled $4,609,368, which is the ESSER 1 grant amount. So as of today, we have spent 94% of that budget. There's only $308,618 remaining for ESSER 1. Now, as we look at the ESSER 2 budget, again, the purpose of this budget is to prevent, prepare for, and to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have planned for a 2-year period of time for implementing these items related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So what we are planning to do is support the one-to-one device initiative for all students, to support a virtual learning opportunity for students, that to minimize the sharing of devices and equipment. So some of the resources that we will need would be some additional technology devices, Chromebooks, laptops, iPads, and when we think about that one-to-one device, we also have to think about we need device cases and different accessories, charging cords, additional charging cords. We also saw the need, and this was based on information that we received from the stakeholder feedback, that device charging carts were needed. So we are purchasing all of the elementary teachers, or whether, I guess that would be a board item, all elementary teachers a charging cart for students. We would like to purchase dual monitors for teachers in the classroom, additional laptops as needed, educational software. There was a strong desire to have access for teachers to use the phone system through their computers in the classroom. And then, of course, with any of these devices, we needed to have some type of device maintenance plan. So with that being said, over a 2-year period of time, this will cost a little over $8.1 million. We also are looking to support a safe learning environment with our band program so that students would not have to share band instruments. We wanted to have some resources in place to purchase additional band equipment and personal protective equipment for the band students as well as the chorus students. And this is $253,000. We also want to look at establishing a virtual academy for students for school-wide, as well as support the one-to-one initiative and implement a summer school program. So there's certain staff members that are needed to support these 3 initiatives. And this will cost, again, over a 2-year period of time, almost $5 million. We're looking to sustain the support of digital learning environment through active boards, because some of our active boards are coming to the end of life, as well as the network servers. And over a 2-year period of time, we're looking to spend a little over $2.3 million and sustaining the continuity of services through the employee pay adjustment. And this is the one that is not covered by the governor's plan that is circulating right now. That will cost the district no more than $120,000 to cover employees that will not receive the $1,000 pay adjustment that was included in the governor's plan. We also want to sustain employees' retention pay for FY '22 and '23, and that's at a $2.8 million cost, and then continue to support the textbook adoption at a little over $2 million. So as you can see, over a 2-year period of time, this will absorb the ESSER 2 budget, which is $19,137,580. And then our last ESSER budget, budget 3, the purpose of this budget is to implement and provide activities to prevent, prepare for, and to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, keep in mind, this is over a 3-year period of time. So within 3 years, we have to implement a mandatory loss of learning program. And again, we are required to spend at least 20% of the grant's budget to address learning loss. So with this plan, again, spearheaded by Mr. Roundtree, we would like to use these funds to hire additional MTSS specialists, hire additional paraprofessionals to support instruction, and then it will be a need to purchase additional instructional supplies. This will cost roughly $9.4 million. We also would like to implement some evidence-based interventions that would address students' academic, social, emotional, and look at the impact of students as it relates to the coronavirus and the students within a subgroup. So we would like to support having high-performing professional learning communities. We also want to continue the virtual academy. Now, if you remember, the virtual academy was listed in ESSER 2 budget for the first 2 years. We would like to continue that support for a 3rd year using ESSER 3 funds. We also would like to support, have some supports for mental health for the schools as well as the staff, and then provide some support to our students in grades 9 through 12 as it relates to college advisement. And this will come to a cost of a little over $5 million. The other part of ESSER 3, remember Dr. Barr is spearheading this component, which is the safe return to schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We would like to use these funds to upgrade the HVAC system, the ventilation system, and to hire additional nurses and pay for some additional PPE items. This will come to a cost of a little over $28 million. So with those three different initiatives, we are looking at $42,980,285. And again, this is over a 3-year period of time. So just to conclude, as you see, we do have a multi-year plan in place to support learning and to support a safe return to in-person instruction. These funds, again, are one-time funds that were, allocated to the school system for the purpose of preventing, preparing for, and responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I really appreciate all of our stakeholders over the course of the year giving us feedback, giving us suggestions to help us come up with a list of items that we can support with these ESSER funds that are district-wide initiatives. Now, certainly there may be some other needs and there may be other funding sources that we will have to review and see how we can support additional needs as they arise. But I just want to thank everybody who contributed. I want to thank not only Ms. Fury for her support, but the EST team members, because we go through this process and look at all of our needs and have these discussions every Monday morning, don't we, guys? And we love each other and have a good time. And we thank you all, the board members, for your support. So this concludes the ESSER presentation, and we're available for any questions.
May I say one thing, Madam Chair? Also, the Safe Return to Schools plan that we are working on will be posted for public comment in May. And so we'll share that. That's a requirement of ESSER 3. And as you all know, the $42 million was cut to, was it 2/3, is 66 or 65% of the total, and so we're in a holding pattern on the second part until the Department of Education takes the steps that we need to take to secure the remaining money. But the Safe Return to Schools plan will be posted for public comment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I do have a couple of questions. Bear with me while I try to go back and find my notes. Okay, you said, and maybe I misheard this. You go to the chart where you have your ESSER funds and availability timeline. You said the CARES Act was a 2-year fund.
Yes,
Okay.
the funds are available for a 2-year period of time.
Right, and did you also say ESSER 2 was on the same schedule as the CARES fund, or is it a 3-year schedule?
No, it's a 2-year, we say a 2-year schedule, however, the grant period was extended back to March of last year.
Okay, that's what it just
But it's
confused me,
2
because it's
physical
2 years, you said it was
years.
the same, okay.
Yes,
And then the ESSER 3 is a 3-year,
that is correct.
okay. Then you go to the funds for the ESSER 2. This is you put the NCSS Virtual Academy.
Yes,
But is this the self-paced program, the remote program that we're doing? Okay, because
Yes.
it's not virtual.
Virtual means to be, our definition of virtual is just to be able to access it by computer. So I just went by the definition that is in
Okay.
the dictionary. But I also want to remind, as we said in the presentation, this first year was a foundational year, and then we eventually will move to what we see as a full throttle virtual program, but that is going to take some time over years to build. And so we are starting off the way we are this next year, so that number one, we can,
get some kind of order into what we're doing in the direction that we want to go.
As we had mentioned in the last, I guess the last meeting we had,
Mhm.
based on what we saw, the presentation, it was not a virtual program, it was remote. And now that y'all released the information,
Mhm.
we've had lots of questions from parents already saying this is not virtual.
Yes.
So I think we need to clarify the definition of what virtual is for
Mhm.
those people.
Well, again, and I'll say it now and then I will put something out, but carried out, accessed, or stored by means of a computer, especially over a network. And remember, the self-paced program is on the, it's a
Right.
computer-based program. So,
I just think we just might need to clarify
Clarify
that,
that, okay.
because we've had several questions.
Madam Chair, before you continue, can I point out some things Mr. Brown just said?
Yes.
So you yourself used the word self-paced
Mhm.
in there.
mhm.
Also, the thing that you said, when Madam Chair asked you a question, you also said that, well, this year, this upcoming year, we need something to put into place in order to define a more surviving or throttle program as we go along. So that's almost like admitting, like, okay, well, I know it's not virtual, you know, as in terms of virtual, but we gotta put something in place. And that's simply what we are saying and what we said last month. And I use the example specifically that if parents struggle to understand, even though it said self-paced, if they struggle to understand self-paced, the directors did a number of virtual meetings that said self-paced, and they still struggled, some still struggle to understand that it was self-paced. We need to just say that.
Exactly. Well, the
And you
thing is,
used that word yourself, Mr. Brown.
I did, and we're trying to get away from saying self-paced, because they're gonna have teacher support. But to me, I think it's a question of just semantics, because to me,
So-
for them to be able to access it on the computer, that is virtual. Now, I have only received.
But the instruction is self-paced by way of
Virtual.
using virtual
Exactly.
technology.
Mm-hmm,
So keyword,
mm-hmm.
self-paced.
Great. Okay, but it's, to me, still virtual because they're still on, again, I think it's just a matter of semantics, and what people, I guess, are using as their definition. I've only received, I don't know about y'all, I've only received one question via email, and of course, most of the questions, of course, will go to the curriculum, you know, the people working day to day, but I did receive one direct, email from one parent, and I was able to, again, say what I just said, and she got it. And, you know, we moved on because she was trying to make a decision for a child. So I think it's just a matter of, because when I'm thinking virtual, I'm thinking, again, based on the definition, they are accessing the content via the computer.
May
And
I
that's what
encourage you
virtual
to
means.
read the comments on Facebook?
Ma'am?
May I encourage you to read the
Read-
comments on
I don't
Facebook?
have, is it the system's Facebook or?
Yeah, the system, so
Okay,
if,
I'll get Ms. Davis to start sending. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have any social media accounts at all.
yeah,
so I'm not able
I
to
wanna
see.
encourage, I just wanted to add some support to Madam Chair, because you said, you basically said it yourself in your answer.
Uh-huh.
And stuff, so, but I wanna encourage you
But
to
I
read
think
those
that my
comments.
answer was still in line with what my view is, because it is self-paced, but it's
Sometimes
still
we wanna
virtual.
make something seem what it's not.
No, okay.
All right. Oh, no. Moving on to my next question that says that, in the same section, sustain the continuity of services, and this is the 120,000.
Yes.
I know Ms. Fury and I have had a conversation, but there was some question as to who is not covered under the Governor's Act. Can you explain who these people are that this money would be covering?
If I can, I would defer that question to Ms. Robinson, because she works directly with that part of the budget.
I don't have the specific list with me, but mainly there's going to be directors and chief officers, the superintendent, some coordinators, and then there's a few other people that have varying titles that do not qualify.
Okay, so the governor specifically said for teachers and school personnel, is that correct?
The governor, I mean, they sent out, the state sent out some information, some guidelines for us to use. They also sent a list of people that were eligible based on CPI job codes. So we have that list, and that is the list that we went by. when we determined who was eligible and who was not. So whoever was not on that list are the people that we are saying are not eligible.
There's also teachers who are the interlodge teachers. They make up about a third of the 90 or so people. And then there are speech language pathologists as well.
Okay, so it's covering, we're making sure that all the people who have,
Yes.
I guess, direct interaction with our students
Yes.
for learning abilities and things of that nature. Are-
Yes.
So everybody in our system will be covered.
Yes.
All right. And if you move on to ESSER 3, the top section where you mentioned the additional MTSS specialist and the paraprofessionals,
Yes.
this is a possibility we would need to sustain those positions after 2024.
It is a possibility, but to my understanding, Mr. Roundtree, when these positions are posted, they will know that
Yeah,
it's a grant period of 3
They will know that
years.
they're on, I don't like to use the word soft money, but they're on, they're in a grant funded position.
Okay.
And that at the end of the grant period, there is a possibility that they will not be continued, because obviously we've got to come back, and ask, for that. But the main thing, though, would be us measuring throughout the period. The grant period is the effectiveness of the
Right.
work that these people are doing, and not just them not them as a specific person, but the work of the position and
Right.
what it has allowed us to accomplish.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am, but they will know that up front.
okay. That's all the questions I have. Anyone else?
I have some, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I'm about to say, Madam Chair, don't turn into a mini Shakila. She don't through the slides and everything. But I just have one question. My question, well, it's two. I guess it's a two-part question, Dr. Thomas. It's
Yes, ma'am.
actually related to the ESSER 3. So I have a question about the slide that says, purpose of ESSER funds, and that last bullet, it says support for the well-being of students, teachers, faculty, and staff. Is that how they defined it?
Yes, that's exactly what's in the
Grant.
language, the well-being of students,
Okay.
teachers, faculty, and staff.
That's what I
So
need to
it's-
know to go to my next thing.
Mhm.
So how we defined it in resources is provide additional mental health support parenthetically for schools and staff. So I guess it's really not a question, just a suggestion. So being that they defined it as well-being.
Well, let me
and-
clarify, they didn't define it, that's what they listed it as one of those areas that we need to provide support. So
Okay.
not necessarily a definition,
So-
but it is an item of support that we needed to put in the plan, in our Newton County's plan, so that we can spend the ESSER funds within those 3
Okay,
categories.
so being that they use that well-being, using mental health from our side only locks us into that. So I would encourage, to look at using the word wellness to include emotional health, self-care, and mental health and physical health. The reason why, as a mental health clinician, all of those things actually correlate to mental health. However, when you use specifically mental health, then you're typically talking about just that,
Right.
depression, anxiety, and stuff. When you use the word wellness or self-care, you're talking about balance. You're talking about setting priorities. You're talking about those things that can most certainly help people with mental health issues, but it doesn't box you in. Also, physical health. During COVID and the pandemic, a lot of people ate a lot more, so gained weight. And guess what? That also correlates to mental health or emotional health, because if you don't feel good about yourself, you start getting depressed and stuff. So I just would encourage us to use another word setting there versus mental health, so we won't be locked in. So we can really make it match up to that wellness
Okay, yes,
or that well-being.
well-being,
Yes.
to use a
So
different
it
word.
opens the door up for more than just mental health support.
Absolutely, okay.
Yeah.
And those are the things that Ms. Sanders and we have been talking about, and we've been talking about them in EST.
Yeah.
But thank you for pointing that
Because
out.
mental health support doesn't open the door for self-care or physical health topics or even emotional health or balance or things of that nature, parenting, all of those things.
Okay. Any other questions?
Question is about the 28 million for HVAC upgrades and like what That's a lot of money, so how, like, is that enough to do all the schools, and what are we kind of looking at as far as
Right.
upgrade?
Right, well, in our facilities plan already, we had, for the next 10 years or so, have a replacement plan, but we have lots of schools that are already, have equipment that needs to be replaced immediately. And I think we've already got 9 schools that we're working on right now. As you might imagine, lots of school districts are doing this same work, so there's been a delay in being able to work with engineers and those kinds of things to develop the total scope of work. But it will likely take the large part of that amount that's been budgeted to replace those systems. And it's work that needs to be done now.
So it's mainly replacing systems, not different new filters or?
No, it's just making sure that they're operating, that we have systems that are operating at peak efficiency and that already need to be replaced and that are causing us issues presently.
Okay.
All in an effort to create a safe return to school. So
Yeah.
obviously, we'll be
Yep.
considering, you know, the ambient air in the buildings and making sure that whatever we replace with, that those pieces are considered. Obviously, the whole point is to ensure that our schools, and the design is that we cover all of the schools. You know, but we just don't have enough information yet to decide, you know, does Hart-Mixon need $300,000 to get the same accomplishment as, you know, one other school might need a little more money. So,
Yeah.
yes, the goal is to create an opportunity to replace all the systems that we would have done over the period of years, and at the same time, position ourselves to have a better air
Sure.
process and quality.
Now, system efficiency saves us money,
Yes.
but this is more about safety
Safe
of our,
return to school,
okay.
yes.
Correct.
This is kind of everything all wrapped up into one
I
thing,
understand.
and a great opportunity for the school system, because these are federal dollars,
Right.
and they will not dip into your general fund or your ESSER dollars, so
Gotcha.
it's a really great opportunity.
One other comment on the operation and air conditioning replacement. Could we get a list of the schools that will qualify for it and when they are programmed to be completed?
Okay.
And Mr. Johnson, just for clarification too, that will all come to you for board approval too, when it's ready to go forward. So just to
Well,
make
that-
sure you knew that.
Well, I was waiting for them to respond. That was my next comment.
Yeah, everything will come forward once we get everything, you know, all of the nails hammered into the wood. We will bring it forward for the board to consider where we head from there.
But I just want to make a comment, please. This is a superb job.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Yes, and thank you for the hard copy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. It's a little difficult twisting and turning and trying to pay attention and.
Initially, when we were doing, I had some problems understanding, but you've accomplished it in professional fashion. And really, it's a lot of work here, and I recognize and I appreciate you and the staff.
Thank you very much.
All right, if there are no more questions from our board members about this presentation, I'd like to have someone make a motion to approve our superintendent's report.
So moved.
All right. Motion is made by Ms. Henderson Baker, the second was by Mr. Johnson. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, now, moving on, we have we have no old business, and we're moving on to our new business.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. We have a few items in new business to go through. Just as a point related to the organization of the agenda, items A through J are funded through ESSER allocations that you've just been, Dr. Thomas has just presented to you. In item A, the superintendent recommends a retention stipend of $1,000 per employee granted by the Georgia Department of Education be extended to all school system employees. The total cost is $120,000. As background, all NCS employees have made significant contributions to the successful operation of the school system during this period of swift transition and marked uncertainty, all in an effort to meet the needs of our students. The hard work, dedication, and commitment of our NCSS team is unparalleled, and extending this pay adjustment recognizes the efforts of all employees. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 2, high-quality workforce, and Strategic Goal Area 3, culture, climate, communication. And as I mentioned, the funding source is CARES to ESSER funds.
We need a motion first.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, apologize. Do we have a motion to approve item A?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second? Mr. Anderson Bailey? All right, are there any questions?
I do have some.
Okay.
So my first question is, will this be a separate check if approved?
Yes.
Okay, my second question is, how fast will it come?
Teacher Appreciation Week, first week of May.
Okay. My third question is, will it be minimum reductions taken out of it since it is a separate check?
The state and federal taxes, because it's income, will be deducted,
The
but,
FISA.
but TRS and all that will not.
Okay, those were my three questions I had. So when you say Teacher Appreciation Week is next week, is there a specific date? The only reason why I'm asking, and I'll tell you guys why I'm asking, other districts have already distributed theirs. I work for a state agency, I already have mine. And so it's unfortunate that our school system employees do not have theirs. And so I'm just trying to see how soon can we get it to you?
The latest will be Friday of next week, the 7th.
Okay. And, I guess my last question, and I know we had the board meeting late, I do know, but is there a reason why, outside of having the board meeting late, that it took so long? I just want to be able to have a better, because again, they've seen other districts have them. If they got somebody in their household to work for the state, they know the other state person has it. So just trying to have a true definition of why.
Me and my staff, we took the time to go through the data to make sure that it was accurate, because we knew that some people qualify, some people would not. So we wanted to make sure that we were not saying that somebody would not qualify and they would. So we took the time to go through the data and make sure that it was accurate.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, anyone else? There are none, I will call for the vote. All in favor of item 12A, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, item is approved. Moving on to item B.
In item B, the superintendent recommends the purchase of Scholastic Literacy and Envision Math 2.0 for the elementary education program. The purchase amount for Scholastic Literacy for the 3-year cycle is $1,608,413. The purchase amount for Envision Math 2.0 for the 2-year cycle is $378,974. As background, Scholastic Literacy is a comprehensive literacy program that serves as an extension of our current Scholastic Guiding Reading program. Scholastic Literacy is designed to engage reading, support social emotional development, and help students become lifelong independent thinkers, readers, and writers. Envision Math 2.0 is a comprehensive math curriculum for grades K through 5. Envision Math 2.0 provides focus, coherence, and the rigor needed for students to master the Georgia Standards of Excellence in Mathematics. By purchasing Scholastic Literacy and Envision Math 2.0, teachers will be able to enhance reading and math instruction as we accelerate learning for all students. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success. Purchase documentation is provided for you, and again, this is ESSER funds. That is item B, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item B?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Johnson, seconded by Ms. Henderson Baker. Questions? If there are none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of item B?
Aye.
Item is approved. Moving on to item C.
Item C, the superintendent recommends band instruments and accessories needed for middle and high school be purchased from Music and Arts of Frederick, Maryland. The total cost will be $107,745. As background, due to the impact of COVID-19, it was determined that no instruments would be shared by students. Consequently, at both middle and high schools, band equipment inventories were reviewed and instruments were ordered to meet that goal and alleviate the concern. The strategic goal areas are there for your review, as is the purchase documentation, and this is ESSER funds. That is item C, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you very much. We have a motion to approve item C.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Johnson, seconded by Ms. Henderson Baker. Any questions? There are none. All in favor, aye? All right, passes. Moving on to item D.
Superintendent recommends the Chromebook cases needed for the school system be purchased from Mohawk USA of New Milford, Connecticut. The total cost is $397,800. The case is purchase a water-resistant cover, high-density EVA foam for crush protection and shock absorption, and non-scratch interior lining, a center strap for extra security, as well as both shoulder straps and top handles for multiple carry options. Strategic Goal Area 1, Strategic Goal Area 4, purchase and documentation is there for your review. And again, these are ESSER funds. That is item D.
All right, do we have a motion to approve item D?
So moved.
Ms. Anderson Baker, Mr. Anderson Bailey seconded. Any questions? All right, if there are none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excuse me,
Oh, excuse me.
one question to the, let me see, I was saying, but will this put us 1-to-1, 100% with these purchases?
Yes, we are.
Yes, sir.
We will be one-to-one. Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to item E.
Superintendent recommends the mobile device carts needed for the school system be purchased from CDWG of Vernon Hills, Illinois. The total cost is $104,720. Anywhere Carts AC Go were determined to be the most advantageous option. The AC Go carts charge, secure, store, and transport 32 devices and support multiple types of Chromebooks and tablets. There will be 112 carts purchased at a price of $935 per cart. Price includes delivery, Strategic Goal Area 1 and 4, purchase and documentation there for your review, and these are ESSER funds, and that is item E.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion for item E?
So moved.
Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Trey Bailey, any questions? There are none, we will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving item E, aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Moving on to item F.
Superintendent recommends the computer monitors needed for the school system be purchased from Bytespeed of Moorhead, Minnesota. The total cost will be $239,309. Technology Department is purchasing computer monitors to assist the school system's teachers. The devices are compatible with the laptops that have been provided to them. A dual monitor configuration increases productivity by allowing staff to run multiple applications simultaneously without having to change windows. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4 and 2. Purchase documentation is there, and the funding source is CARES 2, ESSER funds. That is item F.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item F? Mr. Anderson Bailey, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, any questions? If there are none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Item G.
Superintendent recommends the network digital video recorders needed for the school system be purchased from Safari Montage of West Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. The total cost is $48,054.70. The school system is replacing older network digital video recorders at select schools. NDVRs record video for classrooms and transmits them to servers for storage at the Network Operations Center. The video can be retrieved and utilized as needed by teachers or administrators. Safari Montage is being utilized because it contains the operating system for the ViewPath audio-video solution. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 4. Purchase and documentation is there, and the funding source is ESSER CARES 2 funds. That is item G.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item G?
So moved.
Mr. Johnson, do we have a second? Mr. Anderson Bailey, any questions? All right, if there are none, please say aye to approve item G.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Let's move on to item H.
Superintendent recommends the purchase of digital educational resources from Discovery Education of Charlotte, North Carolina. The total cost is $72,450. As background, Discovery Education creates equitable, engaging learning experiences for students. Its resources include more than 200,000 pieces of curated digital content, which allows K-12 educators to achieve instructional goals that inspire student curiosity and reflects our diverse student population. It deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 2. Purchase and documentation is there, and this is ESSER CARES 2 funds. That is item H.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve item H.
So moved.
Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
I'm just trying to get other people a chance to say something. Second.
Ms. Henderson are none, I'll call for the vote to approve item H. Everyone say aye. Motion carries. Go on to I.
Item I, the superintendent recommends the educational resources needed for the school system be purchased from Nearpod of Dania Beach, Florida. The total contract value is $129,150. As background, Nearpod is a collaborative instructional platform that merges formative assessment and media for live and self-paced learning experiences inside and outside of the classroom. It provides resources for teachers to engage students with standards-aligned lessons, formative assessment, and educational content that ignites student curiosity and engagement in math, science, social studies, and English language arts. It deals with strategic goal area 1, 2. Purchase documentation is there for your review. Funding source is CARES 2 ESSER funds. That is item I.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item I?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second? Second, Mr. Anderson Bailey. Any questions? There are none. Call for the vote. All in favor of item I, please say aye.
Aye.
And it passes. Moving on to item J.
Item J, the superintendent recommends the iPads and accessories needed for the school system be purchased from Apple Incorporated of Cupertino, California. The total cost will be $342,000. The school system is purchasing iPads as well as necessary accessories for pre-kindergarten students. The school system will utilize a state of Georgia contract to procure the equipment and accessories. The purchase is outlined for you in the chart. This deals with strategic goal area 1 and 4. Purchasing documentation is provided, and this is CARES 1 and 2 ESSER funds. That is item J, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item J?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker and second by Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions?
Yeah. How many pre-K kids do we have?
The lottery funded, right at 600, and then we included the special needs pre-K students as well. And we started accepting them at age 3. We have about 200 of them
Okay. So this is a one-to-one iPad situation for?
for them. And because they're, pre-K teachers, just feel like the little ones handle the iPads better than they do the Chromebooks.
Okay. So we have 2 devices per 1 kid in pre-K.
No, they won't get the Chromebook.
Okay.
Am I wrong? That's correct. Okay.
The All right.
Chromebooks are for K
We're
through
just-
12.
I got you. So it's just 1 device per kid. It doesn't have to be I got you.
That is correct. And what I was explaining was that the reason we didn't get the Chromebooks for the little ones was because the teachers feel the
Yeah.
iPads are better for them rather
Gotcha.
than the Chromebooks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions? If there are none, please say aye to approve item J.
Aye.
All right, move on to item K, and I think this starts, that was all for the ESSER funds, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
All right, so item K.
In item K, the superintendent recommends the laptop, computers, and accessories needed for the school system be purchased from Dell Marketing LP of Round Rock, Texas. The total cost will be $96,159.45. The school system is purchasing laptops for teachers and administrators as well as necessary accessories. School system will utilize a state of Georgia contract. The items being purchased are contained in the chart there for your review. This deals with strategic goal area 4 and 2. Purchase and documentation is provided, and the funding source is the FY 2021 general fund. And that concludes item K, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item K?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, second. I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson Bailey, apologize. Any questions for item K?
Yes, a question.
Okay.
And any reason why the request for this was paid out of item 3? Instead of out of general funds?
The item that we are talking about now, item K, was already approved with the FY '21 budget, general budget. And so this is just a budgeted item that has already been approved by the board as of last August. So we actually need more than the 70 devices that are on this purchase request for the staff. And we do have some money in the CARES budget, or, I'm sorry, let me stop calling it CARES, in the ESSER budget for staff devices that will be brought to the board at a later time. So this is just a portion of the devices that we actually need.
So my question is, why not spend the federal money first? Even though we got it, so why use this? That's my concern. So we can save this until hell freezes over.
Well, you're right. We can save this $100,000 or $96,000, but in order to save this $96,000, there's going to be some item that, one of the items that I presented on the ESSER 2 budget that we would not pay for in a tune of $96,000.
Okay, but what you tell me, you've already allocated all of the CARES money.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is, okay, so maybe I'll save it to other matters of interest because it's not related to this item, but it is about laptops. So I just save it to
Okay.
other matters of interest.
Okay. All right, if there are no other questions, all in favor of item K, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and it's approved. Let's move on to item L.
And item L, the superintendent recommends the interactive panels needed for the school system be purchased from Virtucom of Peachtree Corners, Georgia. The total contract value is $451,200. The school system is acquiring 75-inch Promethean active panels for select schools as needed. The purchase includes the interactive panels, mobile stands, and associated peripherals, as well as shipping, installation, and cleanup. This deals with strategic goal area 1 and 4. Purchase documentation is provided as well as the funding source. And that is item L for consideration, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve item L.
So moved.
Mr. Trey Bailey, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Anderson Bailey? Any questions? There are none. Please say aye to approve item L.
Aye.
Moving on to item M.
Item M, the superintendent recommends the Microsoft licenses and soft phones needed for the school system be purchased from Dell Marketing LP of Round Rock, Texas. The total cost is $245,125.92. A state of Georgia contract provides access to lower overall pricing on Microsoft licenses. Additionally, the school system is purchasing technology to provide soft phones to teachers. This deals with strategic goal area 1 and 4. Purchasing documentation is provided, as well as the funding source, and that is item M, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item M?
So moved.
Mr. Johnson, do we have a second? Mr. Anderson Bailey? Any questions? Okay, if there are none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Moving on to item N.
Item N, which is about the halfway point. Recommendation, the superintendent recommends the asset management software needed for the school system be purchased from Hayes Software Systems of Austin, Texas. The total cost is $41,360.01. The platform allows administrators to manage unlimited assets, track mandatory funding compliance, report asset depreciation, and maintain accurate records of repairs. School system would utilize a contract managed by the National Contract Purchasing Alliance. This deals with strategic goal area 4. Their purchasing documentation is provided as well as the funding source, and that is item N, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item N?
So moved.
Trey Bailey, and a second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions?
Yeah, just curious, is this what we already use? This looks new.
This is new.
Yeah, it is a new platform that we'll be utilizing.
Okay, is it, I mean, you're presenting it, so I guess it's needed, but it seems like an odd time to be switching asset software.
It's a more robust platform for what we'll be doing with issuing out student devices. It'll allow us to also have students submit their own help requests and also be able to print receipts and things of that nature within one platform and export the data into Infinite Campus as well.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? If there are none, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item O.
Superintendent recommends the video web conferencing software needed for the school system be purchased from CDWG of Vernon Hills, Illinois. The contract value is $39,072. As background, Zoom's video web conferencing software utilizes an adaptive video layer architecture that automatically tunes in real time to individual user devices, bandwidth, and computing situation. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4 and Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success. Purchasing documentation is provided, as well as the funding source.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to approve item O? So moved. Ms. Henderson Baker, second. Mr. Johnson, any questions? If there are none, everyone in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, moving on to item P.
The superintendent recommends the learning management system needed for the school system be purchased from Instructure of Salt Lake City, Utah. The total cost is $94,275. A learning management system, LMS, is an enterprise software application that delivers documents, tracks reports, and manages instructional content, and enhances and supports classroom teaching and learning. Canvas simplifies teaching and learning by connecting all the digital tools teachers use in one platform. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 4. Purchase and documentation is there for you, as well as the funding sources identified, and that is item P.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to approve item P?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, any questions? If there are none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, motion carries, so item Q.
In item Q, the superintendent recommends the acceptance of proposals for internet access and internal connections needed for the school system, as listed in the chart there for your review. The total cost of all system-wide expenses and projects would be $926,987.60. As background, annually, the Technology Department issues solicitations for internet access and internal connections as part of the E-rate process. E-rate funding is prioritized, with internet access being the top priority, followed secondarily by internal connections and basic maintenance. The E-rate program requires competitive solicitations on the items funded through its program. A scoring matrix is provided which allows officials to identify the best value by using price and other criteria rather than price alone. After an evaluation and review process, the vendors which you see identified were selected. The total cost of the system-wide expenses and projects, again, is $926,987.60, of which $741,590.08 would be reimbursed by E-rate, leaving a remaining cost of $185,397.52. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 4. Contract documentation is provided. Funding source would be the FY22 capital fund upon approval. That is item Q.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item Q?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, any questions? Okay, if there are none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Item R.
Item R, the superintendent recommends the approval of the system portion of the 2021-2022 elementary student handbook. Changes by page number are noted below. In the document that is there for your review, additions have been noted in blue and deletions in red. You can see the following revisions are recommended. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 3, and the copy of the handbook is provided, and that is item R.
Thank you. Motion to approve item R.
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson, any questions? There are none, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
In item, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, moving on to item S.
In item S, the superintendent recommends the approval of the system portion of the 2021-2022 secondary student handbook. As you can see, there are just a couple of revisions. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 3. Copy of the student handbook is provided, and that is item S.
All right, motion to approve item S.
So moved.
Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second. Ms. Henderson Baker. Any questions? There are none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item T.
The superintendent recommends the approval of the purchase of an online curriculum service from News to You for students with disabilities in accordance with their individualized education programs for the 2021-2022 school year. The total cost of the purchase is $58,805.54. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and 4. Purchasing documentation is provided, as well as the funding sources of FY 2021 federal IDA funds. That is item T.
Thank you. Motion, do we have a motion to approve item T? Ms. Anderson Bailey?
Second.
Second, Ms. Henderson Baker. Any questions? There are none. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item U.
In item U, the superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for an integrated business solution within the pupil transportation department awarded to Genuine Parts Company of Atlanta, Georgia, be renewed for an additional contract period. As background parts are purchased only on a just-in-time, as-needed basis. Formerly, we would have purchased those by the school system, held them in inventory, and they would be subject to carrying cost and then at some point possibly becoming obsolete. So this provides a very streamlined approach. All parts and supplies pricing is at a discounted rate averaging approximately 12%. There's some examples of the savings there for you to review. The benefits from the utilization of this program include eliminating the carrying cost of inventory, reducing transaction expenses, increased shop productivity, elimination of obsolescent stock, and an overall reduction in operational expenditures. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4. Contract documentation is provided as well as the funding source, and that is item U.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item U?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second? Mr. Trey Bailey, any questions?
Yes, I have one.
All right,
When are we going to get another vendor pricing for better service? Same one year after year.
Yeah, presently, I don't know of another company that's really doing this work. And,
I tell you what, Ford Motor Company does it.
yeah, okay. You've mentioned that, but I can check on that.
all right. Any other questions? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to
Aye,
item.
opposed.
Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. 4-1, item V.
In item V, the superintendent recommends the school system purchase 16 72-passenger buses and 2 54-passenger buses from Peach State Freightliner of Jefferson, Georgia. Total cost of the purchase is $1,861,796. You can see in the price comparison there in the chart. School system will utilize both budgeted FY 2020 capital funds as well as FY 2020 and FY 2021 bond funds received from the state to purchase the school buses. Based on the state's allocation, the school system has been allotted a maximum reimbursement of $617,760 for FY 2020 and FY 2021. The remaining balance of $1,244,036 will be paid for with the aforementioned capital funds. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4, and the purchasing documentation is there for your review as well as the funding source.
All right,
And that is item V, Madam Chair.
all right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item V?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Bailey, Ms. Henderson Baker, and second by Mr. Trey Bailey.
I have a question.
Okay.
When you purchase another bus, do they come with cameras?
It is part of the purchase, yes, sir, it's included.
All the buses? Do all the buses have cameras on that?
Yes, sir, they all do, yes, sir.
The reason I asked was I asked some drivers to speak about cars passing by and they don't have cameras.
Now, if you're talking about the internal cameras, they all have that, but I believe only 25 of the buses are outfitted with the stop arm enforcement cameras.
And so that would be an additional purchase.
Yeah, that's a separate contract.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any other questions? All right, if there are none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item W.
In item W, the superintendent recommends the milk needed for the school system be purchased from Mayfield Dairy Farms LLC of Athens, Tennessee. The total estimated cost is $280,000. As background, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, milk distribution has been handled differently this school year. It's been part of all meals served as we serve meals out in the community, both to students in-house, also to students in-house. Consequently, usage has exceeded that of a normal year. The allotment requested will cover the remainder of the fiscal year, and this deals with Strategic Goal Area 4. Purchase documentation is provided, and the funding sources are school nutrition program funds, and that is item W.
All right, thank you. Do we have motion to approve item W?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker, make the motion. Mr. Anderson Bailey, seconded. Any questions?
Yeah, one question.
Okay.
Does this cover, or should cover, the free meals for students for the remainder of the year? Ms. Fury?
This purchase,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, yes, Mr. Johnson.
Why would we purchase this? I thought it was free. Are we gonna be reimbursed meals?
They're charged a reimbursement rate, and then we send it, and then they reimburse us. But, Mike, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, that's the way it works. We purchase the milk up front, and then USDA reimburses us for the meal cost.
Great. Any other questions? There are none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to item X.
In item X, the superintendent recommends the kitchen equipment needed for the replacement Eastside High School be purchased from 11400 Incorporated of Charlotte, North Carolina. The total cost is $487,000. The solicitation includes a procurement, fabrication, delivery, and installation of all necessary kitchen equipment for the new high school. The bids received there are there for your review. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4. Purchasing documentation is provided as well as the funding source, and that is item X.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item X?
So moved.
Ms. Henderson Baker and Mr. Trey Bailey. Any questions? There are none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item Y.
In item Y, the superintendent recommends the identified items be declared surplus and disposed of per board policy. This just deals with Strategic Goal Area 4, and the surplus property list is there for your review. That is item Y, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Ms. Henderson Baker before we even open it up. We have a second. Mr. Trey Bailey, all right. Any questions? There are none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to Z.
Excuse me,
Oh, yes,
can I ask a question on the previous one?
Yes. sorry.
The kitchen equipment
Yes, sir.
that's coming out of general funds. Why would we? come
No,
out of
it's capital funds.
Capital funds?
Yes, sir.
And that's plus, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't that be a part of the building?
Well, initially, we thought that we would be paying for that with some school nutrition funds, and so as the pandemic hit, that became no longer an option, so we had to revisit that and pay for it with the capital funds. In addition, we did talk to the contractor, and we're saving about $100,000 from including it in the contract.
That's all well and good, but the big problem is that the initial decision made as to where or how it should be funded. It's coming out of general funds, when it should have been a part of the building construction.
Right, it was initially coming out of school nutrition funds because it's part of the school nutrition program. But they do not have those kind of funds at this
I still
time.
say the mistake was made, when the initial decision was made to fund it. It should be coming out of the contract building fund.
Okay. We were able to do it at a savings of $100,000.
All right. All right, item Z.
In item Z, the superintendent recommends the retention with revisions, and the abolishment of certain policies in sections J through L and other select policies. These policies will remain under review until the next regular meeting of the Newton County Board of Education. And those additional policies, in addition to sections I through L, include GAE, GBIA, and EEE. And all of the policy revisions are there for your review. And that is item Z.
We have a motion to approve item Z.
Nope.
We're not voting on these? I thought we were voting on all these.
It goes to old, that one will go to old business.
Oh, okay, I apologize. I was under the impression we were voting on all these tonight. I apologize. All right, so.
It's a lot of them, Madam Chair.
Yes, you're absolutely right. All right, so those will lay on the table until, when did you say?
The next regular board meeting.
So the
Yep.
12th?
Right.
No.
Let me make a correction to that. Just because there are not 30 days between tonight's meeting and May the 12th, or May the next, the 18th, I believe is the second meeting, it'll sit until June, to the June meeting.
Okay. Like I said, I apologize. I thought we were voting on everything on the list tonight.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Madam Chair. So since these are going to sit to June, and
Just
most of the
as an
time these are, we've already checked with legal, and these are required policy changes,
Yes.
will these be already updated in the handbook?
Yes, ma'am. The policies that have already been approved that were applicable to this, you're talking about the student handbook, they've already been changed. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
All right. Any other questions for item Z? All right, moving on then to double A.
And, yes, ma'am. Superintendent recommends the approval of personnel matters as discussed in executive session.
All right. So, Ms. Henderson Baker, do we have a second? Mr. Anderson Bailey? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Other matters of interest? I think Ms. Henderson Baker, you did have something.
Yes, I do. So I just wanted to, because I know I've been asking about the computers one-to-one, and when we did the purchase of the covers for the computers, Mr. Johnson asked about it. But then I thought about so many times our dialogue is different, so how we view things is different from how you guys view things. So I would like to know, how do you all define one-to-one? Because how I define it when I'm asking is as a district, as in instruction being used at school and at home, via one-to-one, the laptop is assigned to the student, and the student is becoming familiar with the laptop for the entire year, taking it home, familiarizing themselves, similar to Rockdale County school system. But how you guys may be defining one-to-one, because, I mean, we say one thing and y'all say another, it just caused me, maybe I need to ask that question, because how you guys may be defining one-to-one is simply by saying a device is available for each student to have on their own. So how are you guys defining one-to-one?
Go ahead.
The way we are looking at having one-to-one, each of our students that will be enrolled in Newton County School will have a device that will be assigned to that student. At certain grade levels, the students will be allowed to take those devices home each day and utilize, but every student will be responsible for their devices they are assigned. Now, not all grade levels. Some of the grade levels, those devices will remain in the classroom, and the student will use their assigned device each and every day within the classroom.
Okay, so are there, do you know the grade levels? Can we, so now you told me something, because that's not how I was defining one-to-one. But, so what are the grade levels?
Well, with that, not every, to your point, not every district allows every student to take them home. It's just, it's one of those things that each school system develops the processes that works best for their population. And so right now, we are determining what's going to be the best fit for all of our students. So at this time, we have not decided system-wide which grade levels will be allowed to take their devices home. We are looking at this point for definitely our middle and high school students will be assigned those devices each day to take, and we are in conversation right now with our elementary principals to determine what's going to be the best fit for our elementary students currently.
So for the next school year, you guys will have an answer of how this one-to-one will work in terms of who will take it home, and then the board will know about it.
Yes, all that will happen before the first device gets sent home.
Yeah, because I imagine everybody was probably thinking the same way I was, and like, so now, this is not what I see what you're saying, but it's not, definitely not what I was thinking, so.
Right, because there's, for example, there's some things that would be had to consider if you have a 4-year-old, a pre-K student taking devices home each and every day. So there's multiple things that we'd have to consider. What does that look like in after school, so on and so forth. So those are those factors that we'd have to work out at each site.
Okay.
Why, comment on that? Why can't we have, and we'll go from there, a device assigned to every student, period? K through 12.
That's what we are going to do. Every student will be assigned a device. So even in the cases where a device is not going home with that kid, little Johnny will get device number 2 out of the cart. That device is assigned to little Johnny every single day. Tamika will get device number 3 every single day out of that cart. That is her device that she will use in class every day.
Thank you kindly.
All right, any other matters of interest?
Only just a thank you to our whole school system team. We've got an amazing team, to our teachers, and I've had lots of conversation with teachers over the last several weeks with school chats, and teachers are very resilient and are working hard across the system, so are our school leaders, and I'm really, I would be remiss to not say how proud I am of them, and just having the interaction with them via school chats has been very wonderful, and I'm excited about continuing to talk with our school staff. The other thing is Dr. Barr has indicated that we may not need to leave him on the table for 30 days, so we're going to check with Phil Hartley, and so if we do not need to leave him on the table, we shall then bring them forward at the next regular meeting, which would be the second meeting. So I just want to double check that. I'm sure Dr. Barr is correct. He's been working with Martin Brooks, but I want to make sure that we tell you the right information. We've always said 30 days, and so I want to make sure that we're acting correctly.
All right, great. If there are no other matters of interest, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Now y'all want to talk.
Yeah, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
guys, for
everybody.
being here.